Hi, I'm Bridgette with PotomacBeads.com. Join me today in making this fun AVA ribbon bracelet. If you need any of the materials, they were listed at the beginning of the video, as well as below me in the description area, you'll find a full list of materials, as well as links to both PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. So gather up your materials and come create with me. So to start our AVA ribbon, I'm using a 2-strand tube clasp, and I already have my thread knotted on there. So I am going to be using 2 needles here, and we're going to start just by picking up our 3x4 rondelle, 1 on each needle, and letting those just go right up against our clasp. And from there, I'm going to pick up one of my AVAs. And with my second needle, I'm just going to go through that first hole of my AVA on that top part. So we're going to have something like this. And with our top needle, we're going to put in between these, that opening in our AVA, I'll pick up a 15, one of my rondelles, and another 15, and then go through that second hole in my AVA. And kind of pull that nice and tight. So we'll have our project just kind of starting out like this. And what we're going to be doing is kind of in sets of 3. So our next 3 AVAs are all going to be facing the same way. So using my bottom needle here, I can go ahead and add on both of my AVAs, going through that hole at the tip, and just letting those fall next to that first AVA. And now picking up our second needle, we can go through that first hole of our AVA, and then we're going to pick up a 15, a rondelle, and a 15. And from here, we're going to go through that second hole in our AVA. And just pull that nice and tight. And then pulling down our third AVA, we can go through that first hole, and then we'll add on our 15 and our rondelle. Yep. So 1 15, 1 rondelle, 1 15. And then go through that last hole of our AVA. And now you can just kind of pull those 3 kind of nice and tight. So it starts to look kind of like a semicircle. And now our next 3 AVAs are going to be facing the opposite direction. So using our top needle, the one that we just finished with when we are adding on our 15s and our crystals. And we're going to go ahead and pick up 3 more AVAs, and this time we're going to go through the tip. So just go ahead and pick up 3. And we can let those kind of fall down next to the others. And then with our second needle, we'll go through just that first hole. So we'll kind of spread these out so you can kind of see what we're doing. So we'll go through that first hole. And you don't have to worry about this being tight just yet, because it's going to be a little hard to keep it tight until the very end. So you can just kind of keep going, and then at the very end, we'll kind of work our thread and make that tight. So after adding my 15 and my rondelle and my 15, I'm going to go through that next hole in my AVA. And then picking up my second AVA, I'll go through just the first hole. And then pick up a 15 and a crystal and a 15. And again, now going through that second hole in my AVA. You can let that fall. And now our last AVA, going through that first hole, and then again picking up a 15 and a rondelle and another 15. And then going through that last hole. So you can kind of start seeing that ribbon kind of formation here. I'll get my thread out of the way so I can show you a little better. So what we're going to be doing, just every 3 we're going to be switching directions, so it's going to start kind of forming that ribbon. So again, my next 3, I'm going to be using the same needle that I was just using. So coming out of the kind of top part of our AVA, I'm going to pick up 3 more of my AVAs and going through that tip. So 1, 2, 3. And kind of let those fall. And this will start the next kind of formation of our ribbon. So again, from here, we're going to go through the top part, adding a 15 and a crystal through or in between each one of our AVAs. And then our next 3 will be facing the other direction, and so on and so forth. So I've just put on my last set of 3 AVAs here. So you can see our nice little ribbon pattern that this creates by just kind of doing those sets of 3 and switching up the direction of them. I've taken off the second part of my tube clasp so that I can fasten it on to the end of my bracelet here. So using both my needles, I'm going to pick up another rondelle with both needles and let those kind of fall down towards the AVAs. And then making sure that you do have your tube clasp on correctly. You don't want to make sure that they are lining up so that you're not going to put it on the wrong direction. So I have mine facing down. And I'm just going to go ahead and tie on my thread to those loops. So just going through, and I'm just going to go through a couple times and then back down through my rondelle. And so I'll tie the knot kind of closer to my second rondelle so that we can hide it a little bit. Just working my way through my AVA and my 15 and out through that rondelle. And you do want to make sure both sides are kind of nice and tight. Alright, and then with my second needle, I'm going to do the same thing. Just going through my loop just a couple times, and then back down through my rondelles. So just gonna pull this, and this is where you want to make sure that you are kind of pulling your thread tightly so that you don't get these gaps between our AVAs. So you can kind of work through your thread and make sure you have that nice and tight. And I'm going to go back down through my rondelle here. And with this one, I'm going to go all the way down to this second rondelle. So just through those 3 AVAs. And kind of pulling it tight as you go. And my thread looped around my clasp. There we go. And just through that last AVA into my rondelle. And if you want, you can tie the knot up by the clasp. I'm just doing it this way so that I can hide it a little bit easier. So again, just make sure that your thread is tight, and then you can go ahead and make a knot. And then we'll burn down the extra thread that we have. And then do the same with your second needle. Just making a knot here. There we go. And so I can go ahead and trim off the extra thread there. Let me finish off this knot. Oops, there we go. And then we can trim off that extra thread. All right, so there we have our nice, fun metal AVA ribbon bracelet. You can see it kind of comes nicely together there. And you can also, if you wanted, you can also do this with the Czech glass AVA beads as well, if you don't want to use the metal ones. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed creating your own AVA ribbon bracelet. Remember, if you do need any of the materials, they were listed at the beginning of the video, as well as below me in the description area. You'll find a full list of materials as well as links to both PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. Remember to like and subscribe if you'd want to receive any notifications for any new tutorials or new projects we have for you. And as always, happy beading!